Good evening. You're watching the news tonight, your daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishan Russell, and these are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. Foreign Secretary level talks between India and Pakistan deferred for now, rescheduling over lack of clarity on Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar's arrest. Wholesale inflation in the negative for the 14th straight month, contracts by 0.73% in December on the back of tumbling oil prices. Terror strikes the Indonesian capital Jakarta. At least 7 people killed, 5 attackers among them. And Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis create a new record, winning their 29th match in a row, reach the final of the Sydney International Tournament. Well, our top story this evening, the much-awaited talks between the foreign secretaries of India and Pakistan have been deferred. This as Pakistan failed to confirm the arrest of Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Maulana Masood Azhar in wake of the Pathankot airbase attack. The Foreign Secretary level talks were scheduled for Friday. Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar is in constant touch with his Pakistani counterpart to devise the next course of action.
The Indo-Pak Foreign Secretary level talks have been rescheduled amidst uncertainty created by the terror attack on Pathankot Air Force Base. After the talks were deferred, Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar spoke to his Pak counterpart Aizaz Ahmed Chaudhry, with both agreeing to reschedule the talks that were to be held in Islamabad on Friday.
बात यह है कि आपसी सहमति के साथ ये रीशेड्यूलिंग हुआ है। ये नहीं है कि हमने यूनिलैटरली कोई एक ऐसा कदम लिया है और पाकिस्तान उससे नाखुश है। ये दोनों विदेश सचिवों ने आपस में बातचीत की और आपसी सहमति के साथ ये फैसला लिया गया कि बहुत निकट भविष्य में इनको पुनर्निर्धारित करेंगे।
There is also confusion over the arrest of Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Maulana Masood Azhar. Pak media had reported on Wednesday that terrorists had been arrested as Pakistan acted on leads provided by India into the Pathankot airbase attack. India, however, welcomed the detention of some Jaish leaders as first step before the talks.
We have welcomed the arrest of the Jaish-e-Mohammed members as an initial first positive step. We have already, as you know, given actionable intelligence to Pakistan regarding all the people associated with this terrorist attack. We hope that Pakistan will continue with the investigations and bring all perpetrators to justice.
National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is in touch with his Pakistani counterpart Nazir Khan Janjua. Ever since the Pathankot airbase attack, the Indo-Pak FS level talks hung in the balance. Now it is for Pakistan to speed up the investigation in the Pathankot airbase attack.
India and Pakistan have agreed to defer the Foreign Secretary level talks with mutual consent. And obviously, India wants more action before the talks can be begun. Akhilesh Suman for Raj Sabha Television with camera person D.K. Pandey in Delhi.
And India welcomed the efforts made by Pakistan in the probe into the Pathankot attack. MEA spokesperson Vikas Swarup clarified that the national security advisors of both countries are in regular touch. India also expressed that they were waiting for Pakistan's probe team to come to India for further investigation, and that Pakistan is ready to extend its full support to India is ready to extend full support to their SIT. Pakistan is expected to send investigators as part of the probe to collect important evidence about the Pathankot attack, in which 7 military personnel were martyred and 22 were injured. Earlier, Pakistan had rejected some of the evidence given by India, including phone numbers that the terrorists called their handlers from Pathankot from. Now, Islamabad has reportedly conveyed that those phone numbers are not registered in Pakistan.
We also note that the government of Pakistan is considering to send a special investigation team to investigate the Pathankot terrorist attack. We look forward to the visit of the Pakistani SIT, and our investigative agencies will extend all necessary cooperation to bring the perpetrators of this attack to justice.
Back home now, the wholesale price index-based inflation fell for the 14th straight month in December, dropping 0.73% compared to 1.99% in November on the back of tumbling oil prices. Wholesale fuel prices dropped from 9.15% from a year ago in December, while prices of manufactured goods declined 1.36% year-on-year. The price pressure points have remained particularly in food articles as food prices gained 8.17% year-on-year. Following these figures, the Reserve Bank may come under pressure to reduce key lending rates further as industrial production contracted by 3.2% in November, its sharpest decline in 4 years. Governor Raghuram Rajan said the banks will carefully look into the latest data on industrial production and give a reasoned response. India's trade deficit with China has risen to a whopping $45 billion in 2015. This comes on the back of India's rapidly increasing imports from China, leading to an unsustainable trade imbalance.
India has been pushing for more access to the Chinese markets for its goods, and the latest trade deficit figures prove how unsuccessful that attempt has been. The trade imbalance has only worsened over the last few years. Trade between both countries reached $71.63 billion in 2015, failing to meet an ambitious $100 billion target set by both countries. But India's already large trade deficit with China ballooned to a record $45 billion in 2015. Indian imports from China accounted for as much as $58.25 billion, but its exports to China stood at a meager $13.38 billion. Experts have expressed concern over the widening trade deficit, warning that this won't be sustainable in the long term.
This is not a picture which can sustain. After all, your imports are very high, your exports are low. 45 billion US dollars is a very big amount. So certainly it's something matter of concern. And we have no option but to correct this imbalance. A, by reducing your imports, and B, by increasing your exports.
The trade deficit has jumped as Beijing has been shipping high-value engineering and electronic goods to the Indian market, while New Delhi in return has been exporting low-value goods such as iron ore. India's main items of export to China include petroleum products, gems and jewelry and other raw materials. Industry bodies have been pushing for outward shipment of manufactured products to narrow the trade gap.
Chinese have started focusing on increasing the domestic demand, as well as they are becoming much more competitive in the export market. So definitely their exports have also come down, but our exports are falling much faster than the Chinese exports.
India and China agreed to form a special task force during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Beijing last year. India has also been pressing China to step up investments in Make in India and other infrastructure projects. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Time now to take a look at what else is making news around the country in Nationwide. The Supreme Court today ruled that the odd-even traffic scheme in Delhi will not be cancelled. Chief Justice T.S. Thakur said people must cooperate in efforts being taken by the government to curb pollution. Calling petitions against the scheme a publicity stunt, the Chief Justice warned that heavy fines will be imposed against frivolous petitions challenging the scheme. The Supreme Court has referred the Arunachal political crisis to a larger constitutional bench. The Apex Court said the issues concerning powers of governor and speaker pertain to constitutional provisions and hence must be decided by a larger bench. The court on Wednesday had asked the Arunachal Assembly to not convene until Friday. Rich tributes were paid to the 1971 Bangladesh war hero, Lieutenant General J.F.R. Jacob, today in a wreath-laying ceremony in New Delhi. The ceremony was attended by a host of dignitaries and top politicians, including BJP veteran L.K. Advani and Bangladesh High Commissioner Syed Muzammim Ali. Israeli Ambassador Daniel Carmon also graced the occasion. Jacob breathed his last on Wednesday after a prolonged spell of illness. More than 1 lakh MCD staff in Delhi, including teachers, doctors and engineers, today held a protest outside the Civic Centre. This after non-payment of their salaries for the last 4 months. Their biggest demand is to merge all 3 parts of the civic body, since the division into North, South and East has led to severe deterioration in administration. The World Bank has spoken up about companies including Facebook who provide restricted access to the internet. It has said net neutrality should ensure greatest possible internet access to users and not undermine their fundamental rights and freedoms. Its World Development Report released Wednesday touches upon the need to build out and continuously improve networks and network capacity. Time for us to take a very short break. Lots more coming up on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Increasingly uncertain weather patterns. Among others, the Indian farmer's biggest bane. How will the new crop insurance scheme help? Watch The Big Picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Subhash Chandra Bose gave a revolutionary edge to India's freedom struggle. Netaji, as he was popularly known, was elected Congress president twice, but left the organization in 1939 following differences with Mahatma Gandhi. He founded the Forward Bloc and the Kisan Sabha before leaving for Singapore to organize the Indian National Army. After failing to secure Soviet Union support for India's freedom struggle, he joined hands with Germany and Japan to fight the British. His slogans Dilli Chalo and Jai Hind energized millions of youngsters in India. Bose went missing in 1945 after a plane crash in Taiwan.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now, a series of blasts rocked the Indonesian capital of Jakarta today, along with gun battles between terrorists and security personnel on the streets. 5 gunmen were among the 7 killed. President Joko Widodo said the situation was under control and called on people to remain calm. Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack.
Terror struck Indonesia on Thursday. Up to 7 blasts and multiple gunfights hit the capital, Jakarta, leaving at least 7 people, including 5 gunmen, dead. The blast took place around one of the capital's busiest places, Tamrin Street, which is a major shopping and business district close to embassies and the United Nations offices. One of the blasts hit a Starbucks cafe outside the Serena shopping center and next to a police security post. As soon as the blasts went off, police cordoned off the area around the shopping center. The attackers used grenades and engaged in a gunfight with officers. Sporadic gunfire was reported for several hours after the blast. 5 gunmen were killed and reports say that 3 attackers have also been arrested. A manhunt is underway for more suspects.
5 teroris mati. Masih ada sisa, Pak? Kita belum tahu ada sisa, tapi sekarang kita lakukan pengejaran di mana-mana, tapi kita belum bisa berspekulasi.
It is not clear exactly how many gunmen were involved. Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack, which President Joko Widodo called an act of terror. Islamic State had earlier in November last year warned of a concert or an attack in Indonesia, which would be international news.
Tindakan yang mengganggu keamanan masyarakat, mengganggu ketenangan rakyat, dan menebar teror kepada masyarakat. Dan saya telah perintahkan kepada Kapolri, kepada Menko Polhukam.
Memastikan, tetapi kalau dari warning yang disampaikan bahwa Indonesia akan terjadi konser dan akan menjadi berita internasional.
Warning dari mana, Pak?
Dari grup ISIS,
It is estimated that 500 to 700 Indonesians have joined the Islamic State militant group in Iraq and Syria, with the government expressing concern their return home could spark attacks. Thursday's attack was the first major attack in Indonesia's capital since the 2009 bombings in 2 hotels that killed 7 people and injured more than 50. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Kurdish militants launched an attack on a police station in southeast Turkey overnight. Security officials confirmed today that the truck bomb killed 6 people and wounded 39. The blast ripped the facade of the building in the small town of Sinar and caused extensive damage to the surrounding area, smashing windows and littering the streets with debris. A security source said 1.5 tons of explosives were used in the blast.
1 kilometre uzaktaki binaların bile camları kırıldı. Çok büyük bir patlama yani. Bak karşıda patlıyor, buradaki duvarları bozuyor.
Now for some more international news in Global Buzz. A strong 6.7 magnitude earthquake struck the Japanese island of Hokkaido earlier today. The earthquake was at a depth of 51 kilometers, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. While saying that there were no threats of a tsunami, Japan's authorities asked people to move away from the coastline. Police officials were seen clearing crowds at the Sydney Opera House today after threats were made to bomb the Manly ferry. The police confirmed that information on social media led to the large-scale investigations near Sydney's city and northern beaches. All tours of the Opera House were also cancelled for the day, and ferries were either delayed or cancelled. The chief nuclear envoys of both South Korea and China are to meet in Beijing later today. This comes as South Korea stepped up diplomatic efforts to win international support for a UNSC sanctions resolution. China has condemned the North test but maintained its calls for restraint and dialogue in dealing with Pyongyang. Time now for some sports, and let's talk about Sania Mirza and her Swiss partner Martina Hingis, who on Thursday broke a 22-year-old world record by winning their 29th women's doubles match in a row en route to their entry into the women's doubles finals of the WTA Sydney International. The world number 1 pair survived a scare and came from behind to beat the Romanian pair of Raluca Olaru and Kazakhstan's Yaroslava Shvedova 4-6, 6-3, 10-8 in a closely fought semi-final. They've now surpassed the pair of Puerto Rican Gigi Fernandez and Belarus's Natasha Zvereva, who won 28 matches on the trot during their successful pairing back in 1994. The Indo-Swiss pair has continued their good form from 2015 when they won 9 titles, which included the Wimbledon and the US Open and the year-ending WTA finals. 2016 has also started on a fabulous note, as they have now made it to the second straight final, having won the Brisbane International last week. A win in the final will be their 11th WTA title together. On to cricket now, and stung by the defeat in the series opener despite putting up a big score, India will have to plug their bowling loopholes when they take on Australia in the second one-dayer in Brisbane on Friday. The visitors are fully aware that any slip-up will make bouncing back quite difficult.
And there it is, punched down to deep mid-on for one. James Faulkner.
At Perth, Australia chased an imposing 310 with ease, registering a comfortable 5-wicket win. But when the hosts take on India in their second outing on Friday at the Gabba, Dhoni will be hoping that his bowlers put up a better show.
If you see the bowling department, the fast bowlers did a very good job. It was the spinners that were that could have bowled better. If they would have just avoided the easy boundary deliveries. Okay, fair enough. If the batsman is hitting you for a 6-over long on or long off, that's always a good shot and with a bit of risk involved. But you have to make sure with the field restriction, you don't get hit in areas where you don't have a fielder. So that's something that we'll have to avoid.
Rohit Sharma's brilliant 100 was certainly one of the positives for India despite the 5-wicket defeat. But a worrying factor for the visitors is their inability to pick up wickets in the middle overs.
A lot of positives in our batting, but we still need to work in our bowling and get those breakthroughs whenever there is big partnership going on.
Australia, however, will be without the services of both David Warner and Mitchell Marsh, both of whom are unavailable for the second match due to personal reasons. Meanwhile, Australian all-rounder James Faulkner is excited to play on a flat pitch once again.
Yeah, good game of cricket. I'm expecting the same sort of scenario here as well. I haven't seen a one-day wicket that hasn't been flat here for a fair while, so we should have good pace, good carry, and it should be a good contest again.
In the Perth ODI, India missed several opportunities that ultimately cost them the match. The visitors said they have identified their mistakes and hope not to repeat them. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Time now for all the other sports action in SportsBeat. The men's world number 1 and 2 players Novak Djokovic and Andy Murray practiced on Thursday at Melbourne Park ahead of the Australian Open. While the Scotsman worked with a practice partner, Djokovic shared the Rod Laver Arena with the world number 4 player Stan Wawrinka. The Australian Open, the first Grand Slam of the year, begins on Monday. Top football officials Sepp Blatter and Michel Platini could face longer bans after FIFA's Ethics Investigatory Chamber confirmed plans to lodge an appeal that could extend their 8-year suspensions. The panel's investigatory arm had initially demanded lifetime bans. It now argues that the 8-year bans are too lenient. Both Blatter and Platini were banned for ethics violations, including accepting or receiving gifts and conflicts of interest. The South African athlete Oscar Pistorius is to seek an appeal against his conviction for murdering girlfriend Reeva Steenkamp. Pistorius killed Steenkamp in February 2013 after firing 4 times through a locked toilet door. A manslaughter verdict was overturned last month and a murder verdict introduced in its place. He's currently under house arrest after spending 1 year of his original 5-year sentence in jail. Well, that's the news tonight. Good night.